Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Soulivity Today. We're broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Westley Johnson, and whether you're at home, driving, or even at work, of course, we're glad that you're here with us. We have a very special show for you today. We'll be talking about that in a minute. But first, I need to welcome my co-host, Sheila Applegate, who is a conscious life coach, author, and host of Consciously Awesome Living, which airs every Wednesday at 12 noon right here on Soulivity TV. Good morning to you, Sheila.
Good morning, Brian.
Today, Sheila, is our relationship advice with Melva's show. And I've got to introduce her really quickly. Melva Johnson is the co-founder of the Johnson Relationship Institute for Couples, co-author of the book Mining for Gold in Your Relationship, and author of 10 Secrets to a Long-Lasting Passionate Marriage. She has more than 4 decades of experience and is a psychotherapist, relationship educator, workshop leader, public speaker, co-author, and consultant. She's appeared with her late husband, Jesse, on local and national radio, as well as television shows, and has been featured in numerous print media. Welcome to you, Melva Johnson, or as I like to say in casual company, hi, Mom.
Hey.
I'm so good. I love the colors you guys are wearing today. It's so pretty.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're all synced up.
I know. Let women
picked up.
Say let women roar for International Women's Month. So you guys are together. You guys are together today. Everyone, we are continuing a series that we began, I think, back in January, about how relationships provide opportunities for growth. And today specifically, we're going to be discussing the reality stage of relationships. I think last time, Mom, we talked about the romantic stage, which is the first stage. Can you talk a little bit about that, and then kind of we'll tee up what the reality stage is?
Yes. So the romantic stage is what brings you together and get to know each other on the level of feeling the potential for what the relationship can offer. Mm-hmm. Of course, now when people come together, they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about, oh, I really enjoy this person. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, she's so much fun. Oh, I want to spend a lot of time with him. They don't know all of this other stuff. They just know they like each other. They want to be together. And if they're together for a while, then maybe they want to build a long time relationship together. Right.
And I don't think none of us have not gone through that stage before. I think that's kind of like the prominent stage that everybody thinks about with dating and that kind of thing. But now you're talking about there's always a stage after that, right? Or there's a couple of stages after that. And you're calling this the reality stage. Now, What is the reality stage?
So the reality stage is what is revealed that the couple needs to do to realize that potential that they got a taste of in the romantic love. They don't know that there's work. All they know is all of a sudden, who is this person? What are those habits? Wow. Even though they may have noticed them before, but not at this level. And then there are ways that the other partner becomes annoying. And so, but this is where the potential for the work to be done so that people can get to stage 3. Now they have a clue of what it is in the romantic stage, but that goes out the window when they see the reality. All they know is sometimes this person gets on my last nerve in certain situations. It could be slurping at the table, it could be talking too loud. Before, it was like, oh, this person is so exciting to be around. Now it's getting on your nerves.
So that's the answer. So I mean, because I think a lot of times people, they start dating, they're together for a while, and then there's all these disconnects that start happening. That's the natural process, basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because in romantic love, when you're on all those good feeling drugs, it's like you notice more of what you like about the other person, how much you have in common, how much the other person is fun. But all of that, the purpose of all of that is for the couple to bond. Because the reality stage doesn't start until after the bond. And all of this is like unconscious. People are not thinking about that. They're just thinking about what happened? What happened?
Wow. Sheila, when you're doing your, yeah, go ahead, Sheila.
Oh, go ahead. Well, now I was just thinking about it as like, to me, that's the stage where society joins the relationship and all our beliefs about what is supposed to be jumps in, and the thought of, can I live with this for the rest of my life? Is that what you think is happening in that stage, Melva?
Oh yeah. And not only society. I'm trying to think of this movie that was out years ago. I think it was called The Four of Us or something like that. So they had a scene where the couple was in bed and they were having like a I don't know if it was an argument, but they were disagreeing. So when they were talking or not talking, there was a clip of his parents on his side of the bed and her parents on her side of the bed. So they were talking from that whole history.
Right.
And the whole history comes up in this stage 2, in the reality stage. Because anything that is unfinished business anywhere in life is revealed in the reality stage for the purpose of this time getting a response that is healing, and also the way couples respond to each other in this stage gives them the opportunity to grow into a better version of themselves. Instead of being reactive, they become reflective. They focus on their vision, the bigger picture, what have you.
Wow. Now, the last show that we had, you were saying too that some of this starts kind of showing up in the romantic stage.
Yeah.
But we kind of push it aside because we're still on the love drug, right? As you call it.
All kind of self-talk goes on. It's like, yeah, it's getting on my nerves, but I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it when we get into, when we get married or when we commit to be together for a long time. I am going to change. That's delusional thinking. But that's how people think. Or it's not so bad. It's not so bad in the romantic stage. It is bad in the reality stage. People go into survival mode. Like, people are in, I love romance. I love love. And so when people are coming together, they're bonding and all that kind of stuff, it feels wonderful. So they look for whatever's going to reinforce those feelings. But when they get into the reality stage, they start noticing more of each other's flaws than they do what they like about each other. Now, those flaws were there in the romantic stage. They just didn't see it. All this is unconscious. This is all unconscious. Because this is what I believe. I believe if couples knew what was in their future after they became a couple, I don't think people would come together. They would think, I got to do with all of that. That's the goal. That's the goal of relationships, because people have this fantasy about what happily ever after looks like. Now, that's okay. They just have to do the work to get there.
Right. I agree with you. Sheila, do you think that's true? That if people knew
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think we know. And I do think that as we evolve through this process and learn, so maybe if you're in a relationship later in life, if you're entering into a new relationship, you already have this awareness and these skills, or if you've done it, if you've been around the block a few times,
Yeah.
maybe they
Right.
blend a little and you can catch them and be aware and think differently in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of in the back of my head also laughing because Zach and I did our relationship completely opposite of everything, because we came from spirit down and we said yes before we even knew each other, basically. Crazy. And it was crazy. Didn't stop the stuff, but it was worth it.
Now I have a question around all this. Are there like common like things that people have disconnects on in terms of things that they want to change? I know there's probably a wide range of different things, but are there some commonalities between people that you've done therapy with and that you've coached, Mom, that like, is it like money, or is it like sex? Is it, what are some of the common themes that you run into?
Well, there's a list, but 3 that I'll mention that are at the top of my head. So one is whatever the problem is that people bring into counseling or coaching, whatever the problem is, whatever the topic is, it is at the tip of the iceberg of something deeper going on, meaning they're trying to tap into that potential, but they don't know how because they're in survival. So if they're talking about sex, if they're talking about money, if they're talking about parenting, that is the topic. But how they deal with it is the problem, because most people are hardwired to go into survival stage, survival mode. So they have tunnel vision, and they're just focusing on how they're affected, and they have blind spots to any possible potential or options for getting beneath the surface, working it through so that they can get to stage 3. So that comes up in the way they talk to each other. And romantic stage is like, it's easy to talk about things, but sometimes people don't go as deep. But they have to talk about, they have to talk about how they're being impacted. They have to talk about what their needs are. They have to talk about how they want to connect with that other person in this place. And then they also have to be, each partner has to be aware of how they are impacting the other person with their words and their actions. Because people can become very hurtful when they're in the reality stage, because they're just trying to survive. They're just trying to survive. They're flooded with all these emotions. I always say to people, when you are flooded with emotions, stop talking. Just stop talking. Get into a peaceful place where you can reflect and calm down. Because if you talk when you filled with emotions, you're going to say something that you can't take back. And even if your partner forgives you, they don't always forget. Especially when it happens over and over and over again.
Wow.
People have the opportunity to learn how to grow up in the reality stage, because everything that is not developed or underdeveloped shows up.
Okay. All right. I like that. Why don't we let our audience kind of take that in? Because that was some deep talk there, Mom. That was really deep. So we're going to take this quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about the reality stage of our relationships by bringing forth some truths about this stage that maybe you may not or may know. So we're going to take this break and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Yes! Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher
About
quality.
20 seconds, everyone. Loving our conversation and how we're gelling today.
Hey, we're back with more here on Soulivity today, where we are discussing relationships and how they provide our opportunities for growth with noted expert and author Melva Johnson and Sheila Applegate, conscious life coach. Ladies, we're just talking about the reality stage and kind of giving people a general kind of overview of what this is. This happens after we come out of the romantic stage, that happens during dating and when we're kind of starting to be committed, that things change and we start getting on each other's nerves and we start seeing stuff that we don't like and and that kind of thing. But I wanted to make sure that people understood this from a truth and myth kind of perspective. So I wanted to start with the truth with you, Mom. This is natural, right?
Yes.
This is a natural process. Can you talk a little bit about why that's so?
Yeah, because relationship, the way I look at relationships, and relationships go through, hopefully, 3 predictable stages. The romantic stage, we all know about that, and which leads to the reality stage. And what's natural about that is because if you want to get to what your dreams are of what you want together, you really have to work together to figure out what that is going to look like and feel like. And you have to figure out what each person is going to bring to the relationship to make that happen.
Right.
So what's unnatural sometimes is when couples break up before they get to that awareness and before they have the opportunity to develop the skills to do just that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, Sheila, I was thinking about one of my friends who they typically break up with the person that they're dating before they get to that stage. And a lot of times it's over again, I think, Mom, you just said this perfectly earlier, the tip of the iceberg. It's always about the tip of the iceberg kind of things, right? Like, here's a man who she's dating and he's working, he's making a good living, but not enough money, right? And then that becomes an issue instead of the person just working. and being consistent and being kind and being loving and all that stuff she's okay with, but the part that she's not okay with is the money part. And it's like, that's like a foundational piece that, you know, most dudes don't have. And this could be something, to your point, Mom, that you guys can grow into and have a really great relationship, because here's a good man who really loves and cares about you, and that the money stuff can come later. But if he's caring about you, you know, that's really, 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 really important. You know, Sheila, what do you think?
Did you say me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you know, as you speak about that, I do know it's true. I tend to work with people who are on a conscious soul journey. So to me, that I understand people. First, my first reaction was that friend maybe is afraid of doing their own work, right? So, and in general, if you're looking at every relationship and find something just before you get to that deeper phase, then in any situation, I always think it's about ourselves, not the other person. So if you're doing that, then you're going to always find something because you're not wanting to do your own work. So when you stop and start working on yourself, you're going to move past it. And then the whole money thing, I think that's a piece put onto us by society of what partnership is supposed to look like. And we really have to weed out all of society's pressure. And do we want a deep committed partnership, or do we want someone that's going to be a financial partner with us, you know?
Right.
So,
and these are decisions,
both, but yeah.
Yeah. And these are decisions, Mom, that are, and topics and quote unquote issues that are going to come up during the reality stage. I mean, this is where this is the you know, where, you know, the sit down at the table and having conversations and maybe getting some support around this, which leads me to another truth, which is this is a journey, not a destination. We don't end at the reality stage. There's more to come later, but this is part of the journey, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is the let's get down to work stage. What are we focusing on? What is our vision? What is our purpose for being together? Is it bigger than the two of us? Doesn't have to be, but what is it? What is it that we're going to focus on a day-to-day basis to show up as best we can as the best version of ourselves, even under stress? And to do it in a loving way, especially when there are differences. Because deep growth comes out of how people interact around their differences. Because when you can understand where another person is coming from, make sense out of it, have compassion for it, then you can figure out what you're going to do together to make it work. So in terms of the money situation, it's that couple can talk about, well, what is our vision? When we talk about our whole relationship, what is our vision? And when we get to this part, is there a way for us to make this work as well? This works, this works, this works. Is there a way for us to come up with a plan for us to work together here? So it could be the plan, included in the plan, is that this is where he is financially, but his goal is to whatever.
Right.
And with that in mind, then there's a mutual support system going on because you're moving in that direction. Because in the reality stage, in the romantic stage, I learned this from John Gottman. Couples experience 5 times more positive connections and experiences than negative. It flips in the reality stage. There can be 5 times more negative connections and interactions than positive.
Wow.
So in the
Wow.
reality stage, you get a chance to learn how to flip the switch back to 5+1. And
Wow.
every step that you take to do that, healing occurs, because people hurt each other when they don't get along. Healing occurs, and also growth occurs, which prepares the couple to enjoy the fruits of their labor, the reality stage. I mean, the real love stage, which we're going to talk about next time.
Right. Now, making sure that we have enough time for the myths here. This one myth is it's about the other person and not about me.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes. It's like what Sheila was saying earlier, this is about the reality stage. Really helps people to get in touch with the work that they need to do so that they can become whole, so that they can be more of the best version of themselves. So if they're thinking that everything would be fine if the other person changes, they're misguided. They're misguided.
Sheila, how many times have we heard that in discussions that we've had around everything, right?
Yeah, it's all about me.
Yeah.
Consciously egotistical.
Yeah. And the reality stage, you get a chance to look at all about me and what that's all about.
Right.
Because in that process, when you have a realistic picture of that, then if you want to advance to the next stage, then you're open to discovering what it's all about us. What does the we look like? And how am I going to show up in the we?
Right. One other myth that I was thinking about is that at this stage, it's all about what's missing and what's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, and in a way, I would say it's not our fault. It's the way our brain is wired.
Yeah.
So when people, in the reality stage, people are pretty much in survival mode. And so they're looking for, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, they're looking at how they can survive the situation. So everything, anything that's out of alignment with what they experience in romantic stage becomes a threat. So they're so busy dealing with the threat, they don't see the big picture of what's possible for them and for their relationship. That's what that 5 times more negative than positive formula comes up.
Right. I'm also thinking this, and Sheila, we talk about this when we do our shows like with Helena or with other guests, where we talk about when we're not in a relationship, we still go through challenges, right? And that you talk about a lot of times that, hey, listen, this challenge is actually here to help us grow, right?
Yeah.
That's probably also true in our. Yeah, go ahead, Sheila.
Oh yeah, I just think that is what the relationships are a chance for us to each grow deeper, and in that deeper, the more we open up to our own true selves, the more space there is for the love to deepen, because we start to see each other beyond the surface into the depth, and that, I think that's where this stage comes in, because we're going through that difficult terrain, because we're now navigating intimacy at a level that we may have kept hidden before, even from ourselves, right? So then it has to come up to be seen, so we can truly move forward in intimacy.
Yeah. I was thinking that's a companion to this thought, is that when we move into the reality stage, the myth is there's something wrong. There's something
Right.
wrong with our relationship. There's something wrong here. And so time to bail.
Well, actually, there is something wrong. The something that's wrong is how people interact with each other during that stage. It's
Okay.
sabotage
All
working
right.
through.
Right.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. People focus on what's wrong with the other person.
Right.
Right.
They don't have any
Right.
responsibility for how they show up and how they impact the other person when they're trying to work things through. Actually, they don't
Right.
work things through.
Right. Right. Okay. So that relates to what we were talking about before, and that is if you're in survival mode when you're going through this, then you're also part of it's fight or flight, right? So your defenses are going to be on 11 out of 1 to 10. And so any little thing that is picked up on that you perceive as wrong in the other person, it's a warning. Like, oh, this person's going to hurt me. Do I fight or do I flee?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
No. And that's another place where there's a growth opportunity.
Okay.
You can't do it when you're flooded.
Right.
You have to do it when
Right.
you kind of calm down and go into reflection stage. Because when that happens, you can ask yourself, what's really happening here? What is trying to emerge? So let me just look at myself and look at what is trying to emerge in me when I get triggered. I mean, because people can get triggered by the other person's tone of voice, a gesture that they make, their tone of voice, and the other person is just kind of, chilling and just having a conversation. But since the other person's brain is looking for evidence of what's wrong, then they're going to zero in on what's wrong. So they have to go within and ask themselves, what's really, really, really going on here?
Right.
As you're talking about that, I kept thinking about how somebody in this stage could be, when we ask them to go in and look at themselves, they may be thinking, well, I'm doing all the work and that the other isn't changing. But I just want to say, like, you take yourself with you to the next relationship, no matter if that's what happens, right? So you're either going to repeat this cycle over with another person or you're going to do the work because it is for yourself. And that's how you attract that partner that's going to also want to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had friends that have said that, like, they get out of that relationship, and because, to your point earlier, Mom, about the romantic stage, there's all this flood of positivity. They'll say, oh, this person is nothing like the person who I was dating before, and da. And then a couple of weeks later, they're like this. And they're like, oh, why can't he just be, or why can't she just be like this, and da. And it's like, why does this keep happening to me, where I keep meeting the same person over and over and over again? And to your point, Sheila, there's one common person that you're taking along the whole journey, and that's you.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean, go ahead, Mom.
Yeah, I mean, you're attracted to the same kind of person, different height, different looks and what have you, different clothes, but they have the same, beneath the surface, they have the same healing and growth agenda that is out of the awareness of both. And so, I mean, I know about people who are so addicted to the romantic stage part of the relationship that when it fades, the relationship is over. It's like they get their toe into reality stage and they say, oh no, they break up and then they find somebody else and they have those feelings again. And they have like they're serial romantic stage seekers.
Right.
I
Right.
just made that up.
Good job.
I like that though. And just to be clear, before we maybe we might take a break and answer some questions. We might go to break, but we're giving people this information because knowledge is power. And as you are a relationship expert and author, and both of you have these unique experiences where you've been able to help and coach people through not only their becoming more self-aware, but more aware of how they interact with people, that this knowledge is there so that you're becoming more conscious around how relationships work and kind of like, even though you're still going to get triggered, even though all this stuff is still going to happen, you at least have the knowledge now of, oh, I'm in the reality stage now, right? And this is natural. It's supposed to happen. And now this is where the work begins to, okay, how are we going to partner? What's our vision for our relationship, right? Do I need to ask some questions about that with this person? Do they need to ask me some questions? And that's where the partnering and the build and the deeper building of the relationship happens. Am I right about
that? Yes, you are.
Okay.
You are. And that all of that relates to how am I going to prepare myself to do the work, to bridge the gap from where I am, where we are, to where we want to be. We already had a taste of it in romantic love, but this time it's going to be grounded in something bigger.
Okay. All right. I like it. Since we got some questions that came in, we won't break. I'm going to do an executive decision, and we won't take a break. We're going to go right into the questions that we had from people around the world, and just want to let everybody know that, hey, if you have some questions for either our show or for like relationship questions, just email us at soulivity@soulivity.com. You can do that. Or you can go to our Facebook group called Inspiration Central, and you can join up and you can ask questions that are part of our chat, and we'll get those on. And we got 3 questions that came in today. And if there's some questions that come in from online, we'll try to get to those too. And these are good. These are good ones because these just aren't about, as people are developing a relationship, it's like, okay, like our first question, I'll just go through our first question. When a relationship doesn't work out, how do I get over a relationship or breakup? And I'm going to go to both of you, but Melva, I'll go to you first.
Got to grieve. You got to go through the stages of grief. You have to take care of yourself and work that through stage by stage by stage. And also, while you're working it through the grief process, if you're open to it, to give yourself the gift of getting support so that you can think it through, you can share your emotions, you can be validated, you can have compassion, and know that at some point, know that there is a purpose in the breakup. But that it doesn't start there. It starts with honoring yourself and going through the grieving process, because it's a big loss.
Thank you for that. Sheila, what about you? What are you thinking?
I would also say the grieving process, and you're grieving the relationship, you're grieving that person being in your life, and you're grieving the future that you may have imagined. So just let yourself process all of those. And then also, Melva, I agree with you about get help. And maybe if you're not seeking professional help during that time, pay attention to who you're choosing to talk to, and what they're reflecting back to you. Because if they're jumping on board with you being the victim and he's terrible and, or she is, or anything like that, that's not helping you to move forward into the next phase. And I know it's hard to think about, maybe so prepare by thinking about it ahead of time, right? When you're in the middle of the grief, you're going to just turn to people. But if you start watching your relationships and your support system and make sure that you're not choosing to be with people that reflect back yourself as a victim that's not letting you grow, then you may want to upgrade that.
Like that. I like that. I'm glad I went to questions because these are great. This one's good. Sheila, I'll go you first for this one, and then I'll go to Mom second. Why does my boyfriend overreact to my friendship or friendships with other men?
To me, that would be a red flag that I would be very careful about, because it's the boyfriend's insecurity or girlfriend, or, whatever gender we're talking about. If you're concerned about the other gender or the person being with people that they're possibly attracted to, then that's the insecurity in the partner's self. And then pay attention to yourself. How are you dealing with it? Are you changing your behavior or by not being with your friends, or are you reassuring your partner by expressing your love to them and also your commitment or whatever that is, while including them or encouraging them? But we're looking at trust and all kinds of things in that one. So Melva, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And I'll add that, first of all, I'd ask him. It's like, what is this? What's going on? What's happening, with you? To find out why they're triggered. If you can have that kind of honest conversation, if he or she would be honest with you in terms of what triggered them, because it is possible that 10% of what got triggered in them has a 90% root cause reason. But unless he's in a place and space, or she's in the place and space to even know what that is, so that they can share it, then you'll stay stuck. The other part is how do you show up in terms of what kind of friendship do you have? I mean, are you casual friends? You've been friends for a lifetime and you support each other from time to time? Or do you have secret conversations with this other person? I can see why a boyfriend or girlfriend would be upset about that. Especially if you have emotional intimacy. Doesn't have to be sex. If you have emotional intimacy with this other person and you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that's a red flag about you. And your motives and intention for being in a relationship.
All right. I like it. All right. Let's see. This next one. This one's an interesting one. And it goes, how many dates does it take to know if there's real potential with a prospective partner? That's an interesting question. Mom, I'll go to you. I know, right?
Sorry, I don't mean to be laughing at the person who wrote the question. So it's not how many dates, it's what happens during the date. Right. As you get to know each other. So as you interact with this person and get to know this, you got to date long enough so you know enough about the person to see if this is someone that you want to have a longer term relationship with. Right. But see, usually people ask that question. They want to know how many dates they have before they have sex.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
my answer is the same.
Right. Right.
So what happens each time you date?
Right. 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 Sheila, what about you? What are you thinking about this one?
I'm not good to answer this one. I think our societal way of dating can be a little bit barbaric if it's in that where we're going out to analyze if this is going to be our life partner in the first few times together. Like that
Right.
doesn't work for me. But you know, I agree with everything Melva you said about it has to do with the energy. It has to do what happens when you're together, and there can't be rules for that. So if we're looking,
Right.
if we're even looking at it in that way, and a lot of people in society do, but if we're analyzing, I'm going to make a decision about this person in this number of dates, that we're going into it in a position that it's not, I don't see how you're going to end up having an intimate relationship with that approach. To
Right.
me, if we're analyzing somebody to see if they fit into a specific category in our life of this partnership versus are we engaging? Do we like each other? What can our form of relationship be? Because maybe it's a friendship, maybe, it's a business partner. It could be anything. You're just getting to know someone and then letting the form show itself.
Right. 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 I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you, both of you. As we, move to where we're about to close out, any final thoughts about things that we've talked about today? And I'm gonna go to you first.
Well, for me, the promise of love relationships and the promise is that there is an opportunity, and the relationship itself provides an environment for both people to tap into what it will take for them to become the best version of themselves. Because as they become the best version of themselves in the relationship, they take that best version in every area of their lives.
Wow. I like that. I like that. I like that. Sheila, what about you?
Melba, you just nailed that. Yeah. The thing that, and people who have listened a lot, I'm sure you've heard me say this, but it's been in my head as we have this whole conversation. Love is unconditional, like is conditional. So no matter what phase you're in, once you love someone, that's not an in and out of love. Love flows through us to another person, and it can take many forms. So just remember that when you don't like a behavior, that's a behavior you don't like. You're dealing with that part of it. It's not the whole package at one moment.
I like that. Woo! Great show. I love this kind of stuff. Why don't we get to some shameless plugs really, really quickly before we get out of here? Just want to make sure that people get some support in everything that they're doing, especially their relationships. Mom, you have a fantastic gift that you're giving people that's part of the bailiwick, I would say, of everything that you're doing. Can you tell people about this gift and where they can go get it?
Yes, it's a checklist, and it's called 10 Secrets to a Long-Lasting Passionate Marriage. And so, and it's for couples who are in committed relationships and they're not married. So it supports people to have like a big picture to keep in mind as they're navigating through their day-to-day lives together. And when they have an opportunity, it's an opportunity for couples to have a conversation, because when they go through it's like a little bit like a quiz. When they go through it and they look at their results, they can share their results with each other and then decide, okay, so this is the reality of where we are now. Where do we want to be? And they can start developing their vision. And then when they have their vision, then they can start figuring out the steps to navigate from where they are to that district.
Perfect. And people, if you want to receive that free gift from Melva, you want to visit her website at Johnson Relationship Institute for Couples.com. That's all one word, Johnson Relationship Institute for Couples.com. And Sheila, you've got some really, really cool things happening at your website, especially, is it anniversary with Fractal Illumination for you?
Well, we're on the 10th year anniversary. And
Yeah, that's what
our first one was
yeah.
in spring. And so we have on April 27th, we're having our next Fractal Illumination gathering in Central New York. And we welcome all to come join us. It's a wonderful day. If you go to our website, you'll see how to register. There's information if you're traveling on where to stay. And you can also receive it long distance if you choose to join that way.
Woo. And that's April 27th. April 27th, 2024.
April 27th.
You want to go to
youngest
Sheila?
child's birthday.
Oh, wow. Oh. You want to go to SheilaApplegate.com to find out more about how to transform your well-being from the inside out with Fractal Illumination, an ultimate mind, body, and soul experience. Ladies, ladies, ladies. Oh, time goes by too quick. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to continue this conversation in a couple weeks where Melva, or my mom, I just call her mom, is going to be back with us. Loving these conversations about how to help people move forward with their lives. So thank you both for being here. Also want to just let everybody know, listen, this is how we do it Monday through Friday, right here on Soulivity TV, where Soulivity Today brings you conversations that will empower you every single day. You can watch us at 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, right here on Soulivity TV for our live feed, or you can watch or listen to us at KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California at 8 a.m. Pacific time for all of our family and friends out on the West Coast. Hey fam, how you doing? Anyway, listen, got to get out of here. Until next time, keep working that passion and purpose, and you're going to create that life, that full life, that best life today. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Everybody stay on.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.